think I need to update my computer because it's slower than hell. So tonight I wanted to go over objections, and I'm really just kind of gonna like go through some example conversations of what I tend to have a lot with people. The most common objections, which I'm pretty sure we all get the same ones. Um, but I first want to stress the importance of like dealing with objections, and obviously not in a pushy way. There's a nice way to go about it, which is something that number one, like I felt like I'm not the most empathetic person in the world. So I really had to kind of work on how I responded to objections, to sound genuine and not like be pushy. Um, and it was just, I had to have the confidence to deal with the objections. But it has seriously, increased the amount of people that sign up with me. Because a lot of the times when you get in the midst of a conversation with someone, the objection normally comes a little bit later once you've kind of gone through the details. And so I think, understanding that when you handle an objection in a, sympathetic, understanding way, and you kind of meet the person where they are, you actually have a better chance of then signing up. Maybe not right then, but at least later on down the road. Because the same way with a follow-up, if you just invited somebody one time and they said no, and then you never followed up with them ever again, in their mind, they might just be like, well, she just wanted to sail. I didn't give her what she wanted, and she's peacing out. So follow-ups and objections I kind of group together in terms of, showing people that you care, essentially. So with objections, I'm just, like I said, I'm going to go through some of the most common ones I get and how I respond to it. Just give you almost like I'm having the conversation with myself right now. But anyway, the first one that you'll typically get off the bat is just a very generic. Once I send an invite and they say either, they'll just reply back and all they say is no thanks or not interested. And I used to reply and kind of say hey, that's cool. Thanks for getting back to me. Is there something specific that makes you not interested? I'm always looking for feedback from people. That would get some people to respond to me and just kind of be like, yeah, I don't have time, whatever. But more recently, I heard another coach use this example when someone says that they're not interested without giving really an explanation as to why. She responds with, hey, that's cool. I hope you're just busy and it's not something serious. Because it gets the person to kind of be like, oh, she actually cares, what I'm up to. And so I've been doing that kind of recently here. Just it shows to them that you are genuinely interested in what they have going on with their life. So, that's usually the first one you'll get. And then the rest of these are kind of once you've had a little bit of a conversation and they come up with this objection later on. Number one, I'm too busy. And sorry, I just got notes on my phone. I'm trying to work with this. I'm too busy. And so it's always important, no matter what the objection, just kind of meet them where they are. Tell them that you understand. So I'll start off with, I totally feel you. My summer schedule is slammed right now. If it weren't for time, would you be interested? Because right then it kind of gives them the opportunity to open up to me about goals if we haven't talked about that already. Because then, if they pour out their heart and soul as to yes, if I weren't busy, I would love to, lose 50 pounds, blah, 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 and they go on and on and on. And so then you can kind of dig a little bit deeper into that why, into that goal, into that motivation, and be like, well, hey, that goal is totally attainable. I get that when you're busy, it's kind of overwhelming to start something like this, but, starting now is obviously going to get you closer to your goal than if you were to start 3 months from now when things, kind of slow down. Do you think you would want to reconsider and maybe see if we can start you off with something simple? So yeah, and kind of tied in with that, I get a lot of people, when they say that they're too busy, And I'm like, yeah, I totally get that. And we continue kind of the conversation there. They're like, I just don't have the time to commit to, a challenge or something. I'm like, hey, this, like, a challenge group is not meant to add something more to your plate. Like, yes, we're working out. Yes, we're trying to eat a little bit healthier, but it really, like, isn't an extra time commitment. Like, I don't want you to hear the word challenge and freak out. And so then a lot of people are like, oh, like, I didn't understand that. Because a lot of times objections just come from misunderstanding or not totally knowing what it is that we are offering. So it's important to touch on that. Objection number 2, something, along the lines of, I already have a plan. I do my own thing. I will respond with, hey, I totally respect that. I love supporting other girls that are, on the journey by themselves. Like, what do you do, if you don't mind me asking? And again, right then, if they tell me, well, I go to the gym and I track my macros or whatever, just because they're not going to sign up with me right then, like, that doesn't mean that I can't continue this conversation with them, and at least, show that I am interested in what they are doing and supporting them, even if they're not going to join my group right now, or maybe even later on down the road, I don't know. But keeping that connection there, again, just shows that you're not just trying to make a sale, because I assume that you're not. I think that we all on this team, we know that we're not just here to sell things. We're here to make connections. And to be honest, if you think about a lot of the females that we see, where they're online or in our own lives, in real life, they are going to the gym and they are, counting their calories or whatever. But when they don't have a set plan, something they've invested in, or they don't have the right support, a lot of times they don't stick with it for long. So that's why I always make a point to form that relationship with the person that is going to the gym on their own, so that months down the road, when they see that I got these awesome results with Lift 4 and they didn't get half that results in the same, 8 weeks, they're at some point going to come to me and be like, okay, I need to do what you're doing because what I'm doing by myself isn't working. Or I make a point to follow up, like a month or 2 later and be like, hey, I know you weren't interested last time, but starting up this next challenge group. And that, with that follow-up, it gives them the opportunity then to reconsider and be like, okay, maybe I do need to try what she's doing. Objection number 3, I don't like groups. I've gotten this one quite a bit, and I don't really have a good way to, I don't want to say like react to it. I'm not trying to react to their objection, but just to respond to it. Again, meeting them where they are, I'll say something like, hey, I know that groups aren't for everybody. That's totally cool. And I'll kind of like leave it as an open-ended question, or just kind of like, do you just not like checking in? Do you not like working with people? I don't know. I don't like to be too direct in my question there, but just, hey, I know it's not for everybody, but if you ever decide that you would like to, work with a team, work with a group, there's always a spot for you. Again, it leaves it open-ended. I don't know. And people like that, in my mind, I'm probably not going to vibe with. They either like don't like me or they don't like what I'm talking about, and that's fine. But it still just leaves that offer there. So if the day does ever come that they're like, crap, she's got her shit together, I need to get my shit together, I'm going to go ask her for help. Just always leaving it there, letting them know that there is an opportunity and you are there to help if and when they need it, and not just like if they say, I don't like groups, and you'd be like, okay, thanks, and leave it at that. Then I feel like that's more awkward than not responding a little more in depth. Objection number 4, I like going to the gym. And so I respond, hey, me too. There are, we've got tons of programs that you can take to the gym. And then if, there's ever a day that you couldn't get to the gym, you got stuff to do at home. Is that something you want to look into? I always try and end it with a question, because if I were just to say, yeah, they have gym workouts too, then they probably aren't going to respond. So leave it with a question there. And maybe, as newer coaches, you guys might not be aware of this, but with the more weightlifting programs like Body Beast, now with Lift 4, with some of the 80-day obsession workouts, like the weightlifting days, not so much the cardio ones, but under the program materials of those programs, there are weight tracker sheets so that, if they say, well, I don't want to pull up a workout video on my phone at the gym, they can use the workout tracker sheets. And so even if you haven't done Body Beast yourself, I have. So if you're ever talking, and this is mainly for a lot of girls that I talk to on Instagram, that's where I meet a lot of girls that are already into fitness and going to the gym. But I wouldn't name drop and say like, hey, we have Body Beast. I'd just be like, well, there's this weight training program, work out 6 days a week, yada, yada. So if you do ever get into a situation where you make a connection with someone that you think they would benefit from, like Body Beast, working at the gym, and you're not sure how to continue the conversation about Body Beast, number one, you can look it up on the Coach Online Office. There's always educational tools on the programs, or just like we can do a 3-way conversation to help you with that. Kind of segued there, but anywho. Next objection. I don't know what number I'm on at this point. This is one of the most popular ones. I'm not a shake person, or I don't like Shakeology. My first part of my response is, dude, I hated it when I first tried it too. I guess I should kind of split this objection up. If they say I don't like shakes, like they just don't like shakes in general, I'll say like, hey, I used to be the same way and I'm not totally hip on them every single day. What kinds have you tried? And there, I'm just like being curious. They're going to want to talk about themselves and talk about their experiences and what they've liked and don't liked. So if they haven't tried Shakeology and they're just talking about other shakes in general, I can't talk, depending on what their response is, well, I get this one a lot. I would rather eat my calories than drink them. I say, well, hey, I was totally there too. And in my personal experience, that was a bad relationship with food that I had to get over. I don't necessarily crave a shake every day, but nutritional value, like just I will chug the shake no matter what, because I want to feel the way that I feel from Shakeology. Yeah, that's pretty much the biggest one. They're just not a shake person. And that's really deep down, it's probably just a cover up for they don't have the money for it, or they don't think they have the money for it, that type of thing. Or they've used shakes in the past with whatever weight loss plan they were trying to do, and they just weren't consistent with the weight loss plan overall. So they try and blame it on the shakes. And like, I'm not shaming that. That's just the reality for some people, and it's hard. And so they just want to, try and place that blame somewhere else rather than themselves. So, keeping that conversation going about, what were you inconsistent with? Why did you feel that way? If they specifically say they don't like Shakeology, that's when I say, well, hey, that's exactly how I felt. I kind of share my story with it, how the first month that I tried it, it was disgusting. And I wasn't about to pay for it every month if I didn't enjoy it. But I forced myself to drink it for the first month. And after not drinking it then for like a week, I was like, why do I feel like shit again when I'm still eating healthy? Oh, because I cut out Shakeology. So I brought it back. But I explained that I had to make the switch from whey Shakeology to vegan. And so I will ask them, I'll be like, do you know what kind you tried? And a majority of the time, these people that have tried Shakeology months and years ago, it was their regular kind. And as soon as I say like, dude, you need to switch to vegan, a lot of them are like, okay, I'd be willing to try it again. Because that has a lot to do with, like, if you personally aren't familiar with regular versus vegan is a lot smoother. So if the person tells you they hated the texture, be like, well, vegan's a lot better. Regular made me really bloated. Vegan does not, that type of thing. And then just sharing, your personal experiences with it, or, any of your clients or customers, or just from our team in general. Like I saw a girl post the other day, in our Lift 4 group, someone posted, the first day I tried Shakeology, it wasn't the best. I was kind of worried. And then today I added a banana to it and it changed the entire game, and I love it. So sharing just those little things, sharing those testimonials, especially for Shakeology, because I think that's where we all probably get our biggest objections. Sharing your testimonials and then the testimonials of others. So that's why it's important to, kind of save things from your challenge group so you can share those. Then kind of related to they don't like shakes, Shakeology is too expensive. Again, I'll say, hey, I felt the exact same way. I had to kind of re-budget in order to fit it in because it was something that I prioritized. And, from there, depending on how the conversation has gone, because obviously each conversation won't go the same way, but, asking something like, too expensive compared to what? Have you tried a different shake before? Bringing up ideas of, a lot of people use this for breakfast, be like, if cost weren't an issue, do you think you would like have this for breakfast or something? And then, talking about how, like, hey, when I used to eat breakfast pizza and Mountain Dew every single morning for breakfast in high school, it was the same exact price of this, so I had to like just take a step back and look at the ways that I would be saving money when I started eating differently and be able to incorporate Shakeology into my budget that way. I talk about, how it replaces or it can replace like my daily Starbucks, that type of thing. And in terms of, too expensive, you don't ever want to get like too, I don't want to say scientific, but like you don't want to give this whole just like speech on Shakeology and why you think it's the best thing ever, even though like I would love to share that with everybody. I just know that nobody would take the time to read it. But if you're talking to someone that that they value the quality of the foods that they eat, just touch on, be like, hey, when I was at Summit or when my coach was at Summit, she got to hear them talk about why Shakeology is the price that it is. And it's because, the ingredients are tested 4 times before they're, put together, and, they're taken from, natural sources and, that type of thing. But if you're talking to somebody who doesn't give a shit about the quality of their food, they're just trying to start being healthier, you wouldn't necessarily want to bring those things up because that's not their focus, so always, take the time to invest in the conversation and the objection to make sure that you are responding in a way that's going to benefit you and the conversation that you're having with this person. And then lastly, one of our most common objections is, I don't have the money. And, that can be, again, for just Shakeology or for like a pack overall in general. My response is usually something like, hey, I totally understand. That's just the reality for some people. There's no shame in that. I know you told me about your goals. So moving forward, like, is this something that you think you'd want to save up for in a couple of months? Do we need to look at some cheaper options? Because again, that right there is going to show them that you care about helping them. And you're not just trying to sell something. You're not just here just this one time to knock on their door and see if they want it. And if not, you're going to disappear forever. And always keeping in mind that when you are continuing these conversations, like I said, I've had some, as soon as I, tackle an objection right then and there about like, dude, no, like this doesn't add a bunch of extra time to your plate. You're just checking in once a day. And they're like, oh, I thought I was going to have to do a bunch of stuff. Okay, yeah, I'll sign up. Sometimes that happens. Other times, if it's a money aspect, they're like, yes, I really want to do this. And you seem like such a big help, but I need 3 months to, finish school and, be able to commit to this. And so you're keeping that relationship going and just remembering that the payoff will be there, whether it's today or a year from now. And it, I still don't know what word I want to use, not tackling objections, but just handling them in a genuine and authentic way. Again, just build your reputation. The way that the universe brings things back to us, whatever you give, you get back. I just today had a lady that just signed up with me. She actually she transferred to have me be her coach because she was signed up with like a random coach from years ago that's not active. And so she didn't purchase anything under me, but anyway, joined Lift 4. And, part of me has always been like hesitant about those things. But I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to be helping her, I'll help her. And literally, she signed up with me yesterday. And then today she messaged me and was like, hey, I have a friend that wants to start Beachbody. I don't want to be a coach, so can I refer her to you? And I know this is obviously not an objection, but it just goes to show that the universe does have your back. When you put good out, you get good back. And so objections are a big part of that. Not because you're trying to be pushy, you're not trying to persuade them. If you feel like you're trying to persuade them, then you probably are. Just try and imagine yourself in their shoes. That's always my biggest thing. Like, how would I want someone to talk to me? And trying to identify the pain points that they have, not to use that to like manipulate them into anything, because that's not cool, but just so you can keep that conversation going and give it, a little bit more, give them some more skin in the game, so they're not just, if you just give them the invite and they're like, nah, I'm not interested, bye. You haven't had the chance to like dig deep to figure out their why, and they might not have even thought about their why if you didn't give the time for the conversation to grow and to develop. That's pretty much all I had in terms of objections. Do you have any objections, Cassie, that you like ever seem to get that you're not sure how to respond to that you can think of?
Just like that, not right now, maybe later, but you pretty much covered all
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I usually just meet them where they are, like, hey, I totally get it. I know it's a busy time of year. And I'll usually try and like, sometimes I feel like a bitch doing it. But like this summer or this week, dude, I'm leaving tomorrow for like 6 days straight. And I've been like plugging that into my messages like, dude, I know I'm about to be gone for 6 days. I feel like I'm insane sometimes. And then ending it with like, do you think you'd want in on the next one? Something like that. Because then that gives you the plug to invite them again and again and again and again. But anyway. Cool. Yeah. How are things going for you? We can just I'm going to end the recording here, but we can talk more. Hold on. Stop recording.